All right. Here we go. More Kerbal Space Program. Career day 69. Nice. Ready to go. All right. It was tempting to try this recovery from the moon. I don't think it's something we can profit off of, though. Alright, so active stuff. We've got the orbital station. Where is it? I'm such a classy gentleman. There we go. New orbital station around Kerbin. We need to launch a 3-man launcher up there with some pilots on it. And 1 scientist. Still need to do the surface outpost on Minmus. Did I pay attention to... I did do both the captures, right? Forget if I did. Okay, that's the one on escape trajectory. This is also on escape trajectory. So yeah, must have done. Right? Grav probe? Yep, grav probe. Is there? That's right. Yep, we did that. Still need the prospector probe. Still have our mining craft down there. Okay, alright, alright. Remembering again. Got a lot of stuff going on. So I need to launch a crew. To the station, to the new station. So that would be an Actarius capsule. We're going to update this to an Actarius 2. Because we are going to quickly, while I can... Oh, also, before I do any changes, I should quickly see the weight. 6.75 tons, because I'm going to have to match that later. There we go. And we're going to replace the Octo with the cheaper, slightly cheaper, much smaller, Probodobodyne QBE. Fancy. Fancy. Alright, then we're going to put the batteries back on, which there were 2 of. I'm going to put these back on, which there were 4 of. Goes in a little bit. Yeah, it fits inside the frame. And then 2 right here. Move that in. Probably way overkill on the monoprop department, but you know, whatever. So already that'll bring the weight down a little bit. Not very much at all, actually, but, you know, still, anything that helps, helps. Pretty sure I figured out that this 3rd drogue is a waste. For now, I'm going to leave it. Alright. What else do we want to do? So now that I saved that version 2, I'm going to go ahead and modify this a little more. Because I want to bring a little care package up to the station along with this. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to bring that little care package up. So I need a service bay. There we go. Which might be a little wide. That might not be a great idea. I was thinking that would be narrower. Like, it's fine for clearance if I do this. How wide is one of these? Also wider. Okay. So I need to come up with something a little more creative here to make this work. So let's do that, maybe? Because I don't want it to stick out any further than the actual port because of the thrusters. They have to have clearance so they don't burn a hole in the darn thing. So I want this to be a kind of external experiment module, similar to what I put up on Jebediah Kerman Station. So I want to put some equipment. I could grab Max. A thermometer. Won't really be able to use a seismometer. I think it has to be landed. Press barometer. That's all good things. A single goo canister. Just a little more to the right. Alright, about there. Better. Alright, and then, I think that's it. I mean, I could probably try to add this so it's not going to do anything because it's not an atmosphere. And I guess if we're going to have science experiments on there, no, that should do. That really should do. Now we can put the fairing back on, and I'm going to have to edit the fairing. Alright, so now we need to reduce weight just a little bit to compensate. I think we don't need this center thing of monoprop. I think that's overkill. So I'm going to get rid of that. This. Set that maybe to half fuel. Do a little more than that. There we go. 6.75. So we're back up to the weight we should be at. We're back down to the weight we should be at for our launcher. So we do know this works. This is quite lovely. And we still get to bring up our little care package. So that can remain on station a little longer than our crew. And we're going to get an Actarius launcher. So we'd want to use the Decanus. Decanus Heavy. Which is pretty much designed specifically to launch this, this craft. Ooh, super healthy. Super healthy. Okay, ground clearance there. That's good. Need to pick our crew. So let's send send maybe Sidri and Tedman up. We need to take a scientist with us. We could take Danany. Hold on. Desvin is the superior scientist for sure. But I am going to take Danany. Don't need Don't need any craziness for Kerbin Orbit. We don't have a lot of science left in Kerbin Orbit that we haven't already done. So this should be fine. Need to set our stages correctly. So the towers need to deploy. We need to fire the main engine. We need to fire the 2 boosters, which are right here. We need to fire the 2 gimbling thrusters, which kind of act as our verniers. We need a separate... here we go. Separate stage for the booster separation. Then we need the second stage engine, along with the separation of the second stage engine. Then we need the fairing, which actually I think we're on the boosted version. We're going to need that before the second stage separation. Then we need to deorbit the second stage, activate the main engines on the capsule, and then eventually separate the capsule, fire the drogues, fire the main. Alright. This should do. The only thing we need to figure... Okay, good. We're not far off. We need to make sure we are going to be on the correct inclination. Now, unfortunately, it's going to make it difficult for us to time our rendezvous with the station, because we cannot really pick both the rendezvous window and then also our inclination launch window at the same time. So that kind of sucks. Although it's actually looking like it might not be too bad. Yeah, this might actually work out pretty good. Okay. Alright. So this time we're going to have to launch south to actually reach the station. So I need to keep that in mind. Off we go. Sending 3 crewmen, our first crew, to the new station. I think game volume is significantly louder than it was. Really? Alright. I don't know what that's all about. Can't really tell if it's extra loud or not. Okay, booster separate. Start turning south as steeply as we can. Watching our roll as we do this. Make sure we stay correct heading, correct roll, because that is going to make this easier to make our turn. There we go. There we are. So we're going to want to stop turning right about there. The extra height did make it just a little harder to really angle this as steeply as I wanted to initially. So we might have a little bit of a high apogee. We do. But it's really not a big deal. Should be fine. So we're angled completely south. We're high enough we can drop the fairing. Not looking too bad as far as inclination goes. Alright, we can now fire second stage. I'm going to keep driving horizontally. We're actually going to aim down a little bit since we have a high apogee. Extend our solar panels as we get to the edges of space just now. Take some readings. We're just going to keep what we have when we do this. Just because we will be able to reset this stuff. And we do, of course, really want to get as much science as possible into that laboratory that we have on that station. So even though it has no science value right now, it might have some value in the actual lab. Laboratory science is a whole other thing. So working on that orbit. Is a little bit different getting into a polar orbit. So we probably will actually burn out on the second stage. We probably didn't actually need these Separatrons to send it back. But it is kind of right on the edge there. Living on the edge. Yep, actually did quite good there. So what we're gonna have to do, we're gonna have to get into actually a higher orbit than our target because we are ahead of it. So we are gonna just get in a slightly higher orbit, like that. We're going to quickly aim prograde, auto aim prograde, and ditch that second stage off now that it is empty. Kill the engines, activate the twin engines that we have here. We'll have a 13-second burn to get us to that final orbit, and then we will circularize it on the other side. I should say the final apogee, since we will be adjusting the perigee. And then we'll work on our rendezvous plans here. So about 7 seconds away from the from the maneuver, I'm going to initiate the burn. That should do. Does indeed. Just need to raise the other side of the orbit. Perfect. Perfecto. So we will warp to the maneuver. Accelerate to decrease our rate of orbit. So we will we'll be going faster, but we'll be taking longer to orbit Kerbin. That'll make it much easier to catch up to the station. That is, of course, unless we're already looking at a good rendezvous, which I don't believe is the case. Nope. Yeah, ish. Nope, I completely canceled that maneuver. That's not what I meant to do. Okay, let's raise that up a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to do this the lazy way. I'm just going to set us up here. So we end up at the right altitude at this point, and then at that point I'm going to go time our burn. So we arrive at the correct time. So we'll do a 3-second burn here. Yeah, whatever, that'll do fine. Okay, then here. Alright, here maybe. Okay, that should do pretty good for us. We'll warp to that maneuver as well. And I'll just have to make some minor adjustments. Most likely for inclination, actually, is what I'm looking at. Which, actually, if I just stop for a second, that burn is exactly at inclination difference. So I can just account for that. Although, also doesn't make sense, because we would be arriving at the inclination change. Why would we need to do the inclination change in the first place? Doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? Something's not making sense to me there. Like, I'll just do it. Whatever. But now our burn is all screwed up. Does get us to a much closer rendezvous. Alright. The potential is won me over, the potential for that really nice rendezvous. So we're going to be looking at a 14-second burn. So again, 7 seconds away from the maneuver node, we will activate the burn. Some very happy Kerman in there. They seem to be enjoying the ride to the station. Do what little correction we need to do here. Let's make sure this is perfect since we are doing a rendezvous burn. Perfect. Okay. So we will rendezvous right here. We can once again warp around to get to that point. So we're going in a much higher orbit than the station at this half, so a much higher apogee, slightly more elliptical, and that is slowing us down enough that we come down pretty much right at the station. Hard to go wrong with that. So we're going to aim retrograde to target. We're going to start burning now. There we are, within 100 meters. Excellent. All right. We're going to aim just a little below the target here. or behind the target if you're using its orientation. And we're going to prepare to dock on that auxiliary port at the back of the station. That's going to be where we dock this the science module, this external science bay, or whatever I want to call it. Doing good. Okay. Switch over to docking mode. Keep it in rotational for just a second. Get our orientation correct. We can almost kind of just... Yes, sweet, sweet magnets. Do your job. Anyway. Oh. We weren't even in the same plane. Alright, so, that looks pretty good. Right about there. A little bit more that way. Good. Seems to have the orientation A-OK. Traveling in our polar configuration. Go back to linear, go back to RCS. Back off a little bit. Okay. How about if I paid attention to orientation here? Didn't realize this was angled slightly. It was angled 90 degrees to the right. So it made the aiming just a little goofy. Now I goofed up this plane, and I'm going to just start using the nav ball because that's the intelligent thing to do in the first place. Okay. Oh, there's my nav ball. Okay. There we go. Much better. Okay. So we're now docked. Leave that science module there on the auxiliary hatch. We are going to flip to rotational mode. We're going to angle ourselves. Oop, help if I was using the right controls. Angle ourselves 90 degrees. Okay. Keep control from here. We are going to go back to linear, go back to RCS. We're going to back off a little bit. In this case, actually going forward. Yeah, I'm kind of docking on the nadir side. But, I thought I was docking on the zenith, but that's what I get for not paying attention. Okay, I'm just gonna slide ourselves up to that port. Need to, fix our rotation a little bit. Too far. Back off. So we can line up this way. Much easier when we're heading towards it to actually see what the craft is doing relative to the station, because then you get the prograde marker on the nav ball, which is what I really want. So let's just slide us perfect, just like that. See, now that part I made look easy once I had that lined up. All right, So now we've got a crew lined up to the actual docking port. And bingo, there's our contract complete for the new station. Huzzah. We've got our 2 pilots on board. We've got a facility that can handle 8 Kerbals. And we're stable. That's really it. So, happy little station. There's not much going on with it at the moment. But we're going to leave Sidre in command of the pod. We're going to move Tedman in control of the station itself and the cupola. And we're going to send our scientists, Danny, I don't know. Someone tell me how to pronounce that. Just realized the chat wasn't even up. Indeed, it is a yup. Alright, so. Now what I want to do. I've got this lovely external experiment module. So we're going to process that in the lab. View data, process that in the lab. So, see, even though there wasn't much science there, or none even, I'm at least getting credit for processing it in the lab. So, pretty cool. And then since we've got a scientist here, we can always go and reset things. Look at Tedman. Just steering the station like a champ. This kind of breaks the immersion, though. Like, this inside of this capsule is like a panel when it's supposed to be a docking port. But, you know, whatever. So, let's see. We can start research. Won't be a lot of research. But while we're doing that, we can go ahead, we can take a crew report from here. Process that in the lab. Let's send Tedman, actually. Let's do things properly. If this were a real station. Because I designed these to be EVA hatches. So he can then EVA. Do a little fancy backflip. Is this going to work out perfectly that he can grab that ladder? Because I will laugh very, very hard. Just barely not. That would have been really cool if he just backflipped over and grabbed it. That's alright. I forgive you, Tedman. So now that he's out here, you can do EVA report. You can store that. Now the good thing with this being a polar orbit is he can more easily get more biomes. In you go. And we can clean that goo canister. Although I could just do it instantly by kicking Danny out to go clean it. But you know, whatever. Okay, that has no value. Let's flip Flip around. That one still has value. It still has value. That one still has value. Nice. It's up to 125 data. And a scientist researching it. So we will get more science out of this station after all. So not bad. Contract some science. Our little polar explorers are doing well. So crew report's going to be a waste. However, I'm going to EVA Tedman again. So he should be able to get multiple crew reports, or EVA reports rather. That was just above the water. Grasslands. Shores. That was very lucky timing. That I got 3 in quick succession like that. Must have passed by an island of some kind. Just getting the shores again. I'll see what biome. Just a second, I hope. Grasslands again, so we'll reset. Which actually, I think that means that I can do more gravity detection. That's right, I can't do it while I'm on EVA. Grasslands again. Okay, we're going to send him in. Okay, he can go inside. We can review data and get all those going. And then we can check out gravity data. Over the grasslands, we didn't have that yet for gravity data. So it is biome specific. Give me an idea for which direction it's heading. Aim prograde. It'll be easier in the daylight to actually see what biomes we're going over. Okay, so we already have water. Already have that one. I might have to send up a second crew after all just to get the second scientist on here. Because we're getting a lot of data. Oh, grasslands we already did. Be a while till we're over the pole. Let's time warp to that. Should be able to get some tundra readings. Oh, I'm reading this the wrong way around. So let's go right here. It's not intrinsically obvious which way around I was facing here. So, log data. For the water. Nope, already have water. So we should be coming up on tundra and poles. Let's see if I can get that tiny little sliver of tundra. Yep. Excellent. Okay, ice caps. Should get ice shelf in a second here. Now we're doing pretty good filling this thing up. Should get like an ice shelf or something along those lines in a second. Once we get this smooth area. And then I'll kick Tedman out on EVA and get some more EVA data. Okay, that should be enough. I can find it. Nope, not temperature scan. There we go. Yep, ice shelf. Excellent. So now we can EVA. Take an EVA report. Okay, we're going to keep that. Okay, we're going to store that experiment. EVA report again. Okay, we're still over the ice shelf. Ice caps, okay, we can keep that and store it. We want tundra. Come on, tundra. There we go. All right. Back on board. Very cool. transfer him back to the cupola. I totally want to see his view, too. That's cool. Stop using bits of metal as... What? Stop using bits of metal as... What does that say? As... Fuses. Stop using bits of metal as fuses, you have spares. Oh, okay, yep. Got it. What's this one say? Left the emergency slide rule in the bottom right cabinet. Bob Kerman. P.S. I ate all the snacks. What a jerk. Alright. Anyway. Oh, that's a cool view. Aw, pick up Jeb. Avoid Kraken. Well, that one's never gonna happen. Those are too late. Milk, eggs, butter, flour. Okay. What does this one say? Avoid Kraken again. Milk, eggs, butter. Don't press red button. Pick up Jeb. And then inside the actual capsule. Pretty cool. I'm just happy with the station, how this turned out today. 255 almost for science, or for data. Oh, I got more. That's right. Haha. 285. So, okay. Station is doing well for us. Now, let's see what else we want to do. Do need to work on a base for Minmus. They want another orbital station around Minmus. Antenna docking port, 8 Kerbals, viewing cupola. That's a shame. I already kind of have that. It's good money, though. I could probably take this and get whatever scans in polar orbit. I'm going to take that now. We have active. Extract ore from Mimus and deliver it to Kerbin. We have not yet acquired 600 units of fresh ore, so that means that that thing is still mining. I'm going to leave it alone and keep letting it break the game. We have a vehicle on the way to get gravimetric surveys of Ike. And for the satellite in Duna. We do not have anything on the way to deorbit a nerve into Duna. We'll work on that later. Temperature surveys of Minmus. I might as well try and do those. I've already got a vehicle out there, and I've been putting this off for way too long. Oh yeah, this is gonna be... That's gonna be easy to get those scans. When that finally comes around, give it a couple hours, and that'll be in position. And that'll be awesome. So, Minmus... Let's see. Do we still have the prospector probe up and about? We sure do. And that is nowhere near in position for these. These are all below certain altitudes as well, which makes them dangerous if I was going to try and do those from orbit. So I'm going to need to play around with inclination, try to do some landings here. Gotta love this little prospector probe. Alright, so let's go for maybe that one. That should do nicely. Let's warp there so we can get a more fine-tuned version of that, since Mimus is going to be spinning underneath us. And I'll try to time that so we end up right over that the temperature scan. It is actually a pretty high temperature scan in terms of altitude, so we might be able to just get it without landing, which would be very cheaty. But sometimes I'm willing to be a little bit cheaty. Yeah, let's go for that. Use up the little bits of fuel we have left in this stage here, the transfer stage. It's going to be 17-second burn, so I want to get about 8 seconds away from the maneuver node. Closer to 9 seconds, probably. That's because I had this very, very, very throttled. I could have fixed that. Alright. A little bit of correction. Excellent. Alright, looks like we're heading right for it. So, let's warp there. Okay, we do need to do a little bit of inclination correction. I figured that was going to happen. I just wanted to gauge by how much. So, this would be a very good way to use the last of that fuel in this thing. Alright. Good there. That might have been a bad idea. No, it should be fine. Won't end up in orbit. That's what I was worried about. And that's all that matters. So that little stage is now gone. down to just the little lander. Doing its diligence. Now entering the area that we need. Okay. Oop. Which is a good ways away. I'm surprised that it's actually letting us do this far away. So, radio that back. Did that give us the first, Nope. We are too high up. So we need to aim retrograde here. Need to slow down. So we drop more rapidly through this area. In case it comes down to a landing, I'll have the landing gear out. So I'm not trying to do that last second. Need to be below 7,100 meters. While still relatively over this spot. Which is looking slightly more doable by the second. But I'm just going to help it along. Time warp just a little bit. Make sure we stay in that zone. 7,100 meters. I take a reading. And I accelerate back to orbit. Okay, now we take it. Excellent. Okay. Now we flip back like this. Okay. That's a nice high apogee. Let's add a maneuver. Get us in orbit and get us over our next temperature scan at the same time. That should be good. It's not a very large maneuver either. Now those ones are going to be very low. I think we're going to have to land probably for those. 4.9 and 4.3. Yeah, we're going to have to land for those. So time warp just a little bit. Get us up to that maneuver node. Do it just like that. A bit of correction. This contract I've had for a very long time. This contract is actually what killed our first probe. So I tried to get low to those altitudes and left it, not realizing that Minimus had higher elevation features. So here we're going to have to do retrograde. Put us down as close to that as possible, which actually that looks like it's going to do just fine. Overshoot it just a little bit. Okay. So we're going to try and aim for a landing right at that spot. Make sure everything still looks spot on. Needs a little bit of inclination this way, just to compensate. Compensating. Okay. A little bit of correction. A little bit more. Too much. That's fine. Whatever. Okay, we're gonna warp here. We're gonna do a dark side landing, which is stupid of me. Don't know why we're doing that. I should know better by now. We are in the correct zone. Although at this time we were too high off the ground to do the reading. So we're going to slow way down since we're doing a landing anyway. Put us straight down. More or less. Actually, almost exactly straight down because I need to also check curb net. Okay, so 2,180 meters is where the ground level is. So I can land at night as long as I have that data. That shouldn't be too bad. Although I don't necessarily have to land. It'll probably be easier to change course that way and go to the next objective. We're almost low enough that I can grab that reading. Yep, okay. So we do have that reading. Rather than try and figure out where the next one is now, I'm just going to go ahead and try to land this. Okay, so 2,230 meters is now our landing altitude. Okay. 1,240. So I can let this get pretty close. $1,250. So 2,000 right here. Just 30 meters off the ground now. 20 meters off the ground. Okay, and there we are. Now we can figure out where this next temperature scan is. Okay. So it would be relative to the pole, it would be south west. So, okay. Be this way? Nope, maybe not. Aha! I had it all wrong. That would make too much sense. Okay, let's head that way. Alright, we're entering the zone and we're still pretty low, so I might just be able to take this scan real quick. Please tell me where this is. Where is the freaking scanner? Where's the scanner? Okay, there we go. Okay. So we can pretty much just go to orbit, or else to the next target. Yeah, let's set this to go to the next target. Got a 1 second burn coming up. And that'll take us to a next landing zone. Hopefully this mountain doesn't reach high enough to give us a hard time. Looking good so far. Just want to get this timing exactly right. So exactly 1 second away from our maneuver, we're going to burn full throttle. Okay. Looks pretty good. That should mostly be getting us on the way to our target. We'll just do another adjustment slightly when we get a little closer. That'll let us overshoot slightly so we could land once we're directly over it a little more vertically. So that burn's going to be coming up 2 minutes, so we'll be able to time warp a little bit. Okay, here we go. A little bit of correction. Overshot the correction because that is such a tiny amount. Better. Okay, so now we should be pretty much heading right for it, which we are. We're getting a little closer. Make sure I'm watching the terrain. Don't want to come up and hit anything. Okay, we're entering that zone. Let ourselves get a little further. A little closer to it. Okay, almost go for a vertical drop. Altitude is 4.8. So once I get below 4.8, I should be good to go. And we'll just have one more scan to take care of. Which I really wish the gravity probe had a thermometer on it to grab. It'd be a lot easier. So again, just using CurbNet to monitor the terrain. Make sure we're landing safely. We're about to come up on the temperature scan altitude. There we go. Alright, we could technically just go right for it. Why am I still aiming? There we go. That was a bad idea. It's not the way I want to go. Yeah, let's aim up a little bit there, buddy. There we go. It's a little better. Really need to change our inclination, but, you know, whatever. All right. Another 1 second burn coming up. So we'll time warp to this one as well. Yeah, this is much better than waiting for a satellite to pass over everything. Of course, those are above scans. That's a much safer thing to do. These are below scans, and we're stuck with this means. This method. Okay. That should do us. So apogee. Bring us down over it. So again, we'll warp to there. Should be a nice safe altitude. Not have to worry about watching the terrain. Okay, we'll have to do just a little bit of inclination up. Another 1 second burn. This little guy is definitely doing what I sent it here to do. Okay, we are now ready to take the last temperature scan. If I can find the darn... There we go. And that is contract complete. Temperature survey of Minmus done. So with that in mind, goodbye, little probe. You did well. But your usefulness has come to an end. Alright. So now to see if we got any new contracts unlocked. We're almost up to 6 million credits, too. That's pretty good. Oh, boy. Extract 2050 ore from the Mun. I don't wanna. Did I miss the window for the... No, I did not. Beautiful. Alright. let's time warp a little bit, and let's get our station over these temperature scans, which looks like is going to be this orbit. Nice. Let's see what we can do here. There we go. Nice purdy station. So purdy. It's just very erratic. I don't know what that's all about. Do I need to disable this? Oh, this doesn't even have... Okay, yeah. But there is a... Okay, yeah. This doesn't have reaction wheels, so that shouldn't be doing it. Normal. Disabled. Disabled. That should stop the crazy spinning. Wobbling. Should be the only one. Yes. Too much torque. Might just be missing all these temperature scans, actually. Yeah, we're like threading a needle in between them, which really stinks. Not cool. Not cool. Yep, so much for that. What else could I do? I could launch something to take those scans. It just seems wasteful. Especially out in Kerbin, where inclination changes are going to be using a lot of fuel. How's our science going? Not bad, I guess. Hey, got the Highlands. Add that to it. Alright. So that's a bust. What is going on? So I do have to do a Minmus landing. Or this one is going to be actually done by that vessel. We're just going to return the entire mining vessel from Minmus. So that should close this one out when I close this one out. Plant a flag on Minmus. We do need to do that. I would like to have a better lander for Minmus. I could launch a replacement lander. Yeah, that's going to be what I do, I think. Because the Minmus lander sucks. I'm not a fan of the Minmus lander. Have the regular Mun lander, which is a much more reliable science lander. Thing is, I really want a two-man version. In fact, I want a ridiculous version. Let's do the ridiculous. If I'm gonna have a base there, I'm gonna need a reusable capsule that carries a lot of Kerman. Only makes sense. So this would carry 5 Kerman if I did this. So then all I need to do let's go to the old Delta V. Set it to vacuum around Minmus, so we can actually see what we're looking at. I guess I don't really want to do that. I want to have like tanks along the side, kinda. Ooh, yep. This is what I want to do. Because then I can get this nice orange. That looks very classy. I think 4 might be overkill. This does weigh 10 tons. So yeah, no, maybe not. I think 4 will be just fine. Put some nose cones on here. Yeah, it should be a pretty effective Minmus lander. Let's just throw some extra weight under here. Some extra fuel. Not weight, but fuel. Okay, we need a ladder. Or, I know what I could do. we need one of these. Except that these don't weigh very much. Yeah, no, let's not do that. Let's throw this on like I was gonna do. Let's throw some extra fuel tanks on like this. Okay. Throw some tanks on like this. Okay, so that gives us some monoprop. A decent amount of monoprop, actually. This already has monoprop built into it for control, but I'm going to add a few. Just like that. Will that work? Will that block a ladder? It would block a ladder. So let's not put them there. Let's put them like there. And there. There we go. Alright. Now I need a ladder, which I was going to do before and forgot. Yeah, it should be low enough. This is a massive lander. And it still has a lot of delta V. This should actually work out pretty good. So let's just make sure this is only one of these, please. Let's put some landing lights all the way around. Let's do like I don't want to do that. That should do. Okay. Then we need all the science experiments that we could possibly want to load on this thing. So one of those. Oh, I don't need 4 of those. One of those. One of those. One of these. One of these. One of these. I think that'll do. Alright, so this monstrosity is only 13.5 tons. Let's see, can I just put a little extra fuel on this? Just to be just way overkill? Just make me feel better. Yeah, that makes that look pretty cool. Not overkill at all. Except it's totally overkill. Now the good news is it is aerodynamic. That might be a saving grace for launching it, because this is going to be a pain in the butt to launch probably. Let's throw one of these puppies on. better yet... No. No, let's keep to that. Or this one. No, I'm getting iffy now. Let's throw that on. Let's put a... There we go. Zippertron. And move that sucker right in there. Okay. And then we need to put a... decoupler. Upside down. So that'll eject off the nose cone once we no longer need it. Alright, we have a 15.88 ton vehicle. We're going to raise the weight of that a little more as well by adding a fairing of the 2.5 meter variety. Just to cover that, make it a little more aerodynamic, even though it's horribly unaerodynamic. Alright. Does bring it up to 16 tons. Which is going to put it in the ballpark of the Centurion 2 Heavy. And that's just to get it to orbit. It still needs to get to Minmus. An extra 1 ton of fuel is not a lot of fuel. So I really need like a Decurion 2 maybe? A 2 booster variant of the Decurion. And an extra 3 tons of fuel. How much is 3 tons of fuel? Which container is that? It's 9 tons. This is 4.5. So if I put that on, how much does this weigh? 20.6, and this is a 21 ton launcher. Yeah, that should do. That should do. And I don't have a probe core on this. That's going to be a problem. That is going to be a problem. What do I have for probe cores? I really don't want to send a Kerman out in one of these. So let's put the Probodobodyne Octa. I'll have to get a Octa 2 rather. This is going to get a whole lot heavier very suddenly. We're going to need some stuff that I am neglecting. Let's put this puppy on there. Okay. Need some solar. So repackables would be smart. Okay. Still less than 21 tons. So we're not that bad off. Put some beefy batteries on this. Okay, beefy batteries, check. Then we got batteries, solar panels, communications. Is there anything else I'm missing? For a lander, for science, a science lander. And also a crew transport lander. I feel like I might need reaction wheels. What are the reaction wheels on this? Probably pretty good actually, especially since I have 2 cabins. Yeah, let's just consider that as fine. Okay. Now we can mess around with this. Make sure we do not have any crew on board. So I do not want to take crew on the initial launch for this. That is how crew end up getting hurt. Just throwing them on crazy vessels like this. So main engines, boosters, towers. Then boosters separate. Then fairing separates. And when we do that, we separate the nose cone and fire that off. And we separate the vehicle itself. Nope. We separate the second stage, fire the second stage, separate the vehicle itself, fire the vehicle's engines. Okay. That's good. That should be fine. Now, other things we need to look at. Raz, what you making there? I am making, finally, a Minmus lander that can get large amounts of crew down. I'm going to start making our Minmus base. So we will actually have a landed base to do all our science in Minmus, and I'm going to completely forego the existing space station for whatever reason, I don't know. But now I do need to check aerodynamics, because this is going to be very aerodynamically resistant at the top and not very much at the bottom. So I'm going to throw a couple big old fins at the bottom and see if I can't rectify that situation. That looks pretty good. That should be far below the center of mass. Yep. So this will actually be stable. You're going to say Duna. No, I do have 2 probes on the way to Duna, though. Yeah, things are progressing slowly. I've almost unlocked the whole tech tree just inside of Kerbin's Sphere of Influence. It's almost too easy. I almost feel like I need to restart at some point in the future and turn those difficulty settings way up. Oh, don't need the RCS there. Make sure my stream's actually working. There we are. Alright. So the Decurion dual booster version should hopefully get us well on our way. Mods indeed. I have always wanted to kind of do that RP1 deal. I just always get worried I'm going to be midstream and then there's going to be a new version of Kerbal I want to try out. But we'll see. I'm definitely not ruling that out at this time. Alright, kick that off. Still looking pretty stable. We're going to see how long that lasts when I do our prograde turn. We're getting a little bit of a roll oscillation. That's not too bad. Got a remarkable amount of control now with this new probe. I like this new probe core. Anti-normal, normal, radial out, radial in. How's my apogee looking? Not quite as good as I hoped. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, this Decanus launcher is our heaviest at the moment. I still have yet to bring the vehicle assembly building and the launch pad up to their full version. Alright. So, fairing's gone. Top section's gone. Second stage fire. Going to shallow out to follow prograde. Okay, better. We're going to stop chasing prograde. We're going to just go horizontal. Let's just start going for orbital velocity. When did I start my gravity turn? I went for 10,000 meters. I've been trying to stick to that for most of the rockets that I set up. So that's more or less the optimal on all. Easier to remember as well because I try to have the boosters cut out around then. That's why I like the BACC boosters, or BAAC boosters, whatever they're called. I always mix that up. I always think I know what it is, and then I end up saying the wrong one. I started 100, 150. Oh, I see. So you're working on speed rather than altitude. At least if I'm reading that right, as meters per second. There's lots of different ways to do it. Certainly, I am not the best to dictate the best path to orbit. I did try to do calculations for that, but it's apparently very complicated. Rocket science is hard. It's actually not. But I did struggle at that one thing of actually mathematically figuring the best place to turn on a rocket design. I always tend to go with altitude. I try to get it up to about 10,000 meters just so I know I've got a thin enough atmosphere that I don't get too much aerodynamic resistance and get tipping. I'm really not helping us right now. I really need to angle up a little bit because we're about to hit the atmosphere again. This was a very poor shot at orbit here. Okay, we're at least back on ascent. Okay. So just a little hiccup there. I was not pitching up when I should have been. That's an easy fix. Just a single 1 second burn. And this does not leave us with enough fuel to do the min-miss transfer. That's annoying. And I did not put retro rockets on this, assuming that we would at least get that far. Huh. That's problematic. I could just dump fuel into it. It's probably going to be what I have to do. Because if I want to free return the booster and burn it up into Kerbin's atmosphere on a return from min-miss, then I'm going to have to take it with us. Let's see. Okay. Should at least have a nice safe orbit at this point. Alright, so set Minmus as our target. Great, we're going to be trying to intercept it at its highest inclination difference to us. That's not ideal. So let's see. Nope, that would be escape velocity. We don't want escape velocity. So let's nix that real quick. No. No, please. Okay, let's get rid of that. And that. Better. Try aiming a little closer to here. Kind of thinks about it. It kind of thinks about me getting an intersect here. But that was only with a moon gravity assist. Which is not what I want. Don't want escape velocity either. Why am I this bad at this right now? This is why I always end up doing this inclination change first, even though it's a horrible idea. Oh, come on now. There we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up a maneuver node for the inclination change, and then not actually do it. And that'll just be to give myself the correct time to burn with the second maneuver. And then I can correct mid-course for inclination and save a lot of delta V. Okay. That is just a horrible mess there. But this would give me free return, which is what I wanted. So we need to be burning here. It will kill this node. Alright. You need to go a little more prograde because we killed that off by removing the inclination change, because it does ultimately raise your apogee as well. So we're now on just fuel economy mode. I'm going to take these fuel tanks. Dump them into the main here. Just so I can get that free return for the booster. Alright. Uniformly loaded. Okay, cool. And then when we get about halfway to Minmus, that is where we're going to try and do this inclination change. So we got a 1 minute 6-second burn coming up in 1 minute 25 seconds. So when we are 33 seconds away, which I will time warp to, we're going to hit full throttle. Alright. And before I forget, because I will forget, these solar panels out. And this antenna out. Those are typically helpful things to have. And when we get this finally to, Minmus Station, the Deep Space Gateway, I will go ahead and refuel this thing and get it ready for a landing. I like having the lighting on this. It's kind of cool. Excellent. Okay, so now we're off on our way. So about halfway there. In terms of distance, anyway. There we go. And now you'll see, rather than paying an absurd several hundred meters per second of delta V to do that maneuver, we're only going to use 34. Unfortunately, that will not do much to free return this booster. So I need to figure out how I can solve that problem. I think that would do it. Yep. So we'll do that maneuver. We'll cut the booster loose. And then we'll do the rest of the maneuvering with the actual lander. That should do just fine. So that's only 5 hours away. I'm going to warp to that. But this will be the first thing we launch for our Minmus colony, and I just realized the error of my ways. That's fine. I don't actually need anything for this. For the ore lander, we're going to have a docking port somewhere for a rover to change out and reload up the ore. I was thinking I probably should have put a docking port on this as a refueler, but then we'd have to put a whole refinery and everything else down on Minmus, which I don't think I want to do. There's not really any point. We already have one in orbit, and I already need to get stuff to orbit anyway. Realistically, the mass would be the same, converting it into fuel anyway, and I think you'd have a higher dead weight of tanks on liquid fuel than you would compared to ore. I think the empty mass would be higher. So I'll make an ore carrier that'll be separate. It'll be an automated drone ore carrier to go back and forth. between the surface base and the refinery in orbit. And that'll be our refueling point. That's a pretty good burn. Here we go. Alright, so now we've got booster more or less on a free return. So what I'm going to do is a trick to make sure it maintains that. So I'm going to aim retrograde when I go and disembark this. Now the only thing is, I need to make sure I dump fuel back into these 4 tanks evenly, so I need to have all 4 selected. And I need to fuel out. And that should balance the remaining fuel load. Getting near time to close up shop for the night as well. So I might just leave this on its way. Okay, let's get this also evened out. So we need all 4 tanks selected. And then out from this tank. Bingo. So everything's got more or less the same. They're all kind of meh. But that's alright. Not enough that it should cause any kind of imbalance. Okay. So we'll now separate that off. And if I check on it, it should absolutely be heading back and burning up in Minmus's atmosphere and then hitting the ground even, possibly, on a free return trajectory. And our little lander is free to do the rest of its maneuvers itself. So we'll activate the engine so I don't forget to do that later. So still quite a bit of Delta V on this thing. Those fancy landing legs. Should be a nice little lander. So that'll get us one more contract out of the way. Let's review that real quick. I don't think I checked the space stations in the last episode either, so I'm going to have to check those and see what science I can radio down. I might have done that last episode, and then I might have nothing, but we'll see. I do not recall. So contracts. Extract ore from Ike and deliver it to Duna. 1,200,000 credits. I can see why. 2,450 units of ore and deliver it to Duna. 2,450 units of fresh ore from Ike. Have 2,450 units of ore on your vessel and put it into an orbit of Duna, not a landing. That is ridiculous. That is a lot of funds. I'm not going to take it, though. So, I have... Let's just go down the list. New orbital station around the moon. I am waiting to do this one until we can find a Class D satellite here. And bring that in. That's going to be our mining base. So that'll be a mining base with an asteroid. It'll be a twofer. New surface outpost on Minmus. We have our lander on the way. We are going to build an actual facility down there to do all our science. And that should be interesting. Extract ore from Minmus and deliver to Kerbin. We have a lander right now doing mining. When it's done, it's going to send all 600 units back to Kerbin, and that should be just fine. The Sentinel is on its way to its next maneuver to get into orbit tight around the sun and start mapping asteroids. And that'll be hopefully how we find a Class D that we can get to. Plant a flag on Minmus. Our lander's on the way to do that just now. Temperature surveys of Kerbin. We have a station circularing. Oh, geez, I cannot talk. Orbiting. Let's just say orbiting, because that's an easier word for me right now. So we have a station orbiting Kerbin in a polar inclination, so I can actually go and eventually get these temperature scans. Explore Minmus. We will get that done with the vehicle that is currently landed on Kerbin, because the mission is to bring back a vessel from the surface of Minmus. So that's a twofer. Satellite orbit of the sun. We have that on the way as well. We already talked about the asteroid. Conduct gravimetric surveys of Ike. That is also on the way. As is the satellite to put around Duna. The only thing we don't have on the way is this nerve nuclear engine smashing into Duna. Which I think I'm going to use that 3-engine transfer vehicle to do this, because I'm not particularly fond of that thing, because I forgot to put RCS on there. So I'm probably going to use that to off itself. I'm not going to do yet another station around Kerbin. I already have 2. I'm not going to do a mining expedition on the moon. It's not worth it. And this one I don't think I'm going to do, because that would be forever till I got to this. Yeah. Guess let's just see, is there anybody that I desperately want for Kerbins? Nothing really. Nothing like interesting names is what I'd be looking for at this point. I got tons of Kerbals. Tech tree. I didn't pick up the nuclear engine, so I probably should do that, because we only have the experimental version. Not a whole lot else that we haven't done. There's really no point in this one yet, because we don't have the larger assembly building and whatnot. Should probably start putting research into aircraft / space planes again. That'd be pretty cool. It'd probably be worth it. Panther afterburning turbofan. How does afterburner work? Intake air, liquid fuel. Drains evenly, respecting cross feed per priority. Okay. So that's standard mode, and then there's a afterburner mode? How does that work? That's weird. Curious now. I never mess around with these parts. I just never make space planes. Engine pre-cooler. I don't know what any of this does. Alright. Let's check the stations, see if any of them have any nice juicy science for us. So let's see. Bingo bongo. There we go. So first, Jebediah station. Alright. Check the... Oh, that's not too bad. 43 science on there. Transmit that down. This thing is starting to get kind of crowded in terms of capsules there. Since I have all the return capsules for all the crew and all the stations, we should be able to retire the crew from Valentina Kerman Station fairly soon. I don't think there's a ton of science left for them. I'm going to double check that. And from that point on, I might just leave Minmus alone, or the moon alone, and focus on Minmus. So 77 science. Transmit that. Okay, there's that one. This one's got 80. Actually got data to review as well. All labs are full of data. Okay, so this got a little more time left on it before I go and return these crewmen. It's only those 4 scientists left, so they will take the last ride of this transfer vehicle back to Jebediah Kerman Station, which holds exactly 4, so that should be perfect. Alright, and then the Deep Space Gateway around Minmus. Oh. I've got stuff to throw in the lab. Oh, it's full. Okay. Got it. Understood. Yeah, we got a lot of science to do here. 92 science currently on board. And like I said, I'm going to stop doing science basically up here from now on. We're going to be landing a lab. Or 2. I think probably... maybe even 3. I'm going to land a bunch of labs down there. And Minmus is going to pay for them. And then we're going to do science there. Alright, let's see. How much science does that give me? See if I can pick something out that's nice before we cut. Oh boy. $381. It's pretty good. Keep hoping there's gonna be new contracts. So, I could officially unlock nuclear propulsion. For now, I still have it, so it's not a rush. Heavy landing, not really needed. You get the new higher-end probe cores, but they're going to be expensive, and I like to not spend a bunch of money on stuff like probe cores. Stronger relay antenna and better communications is good and all. I think right now we've got range for what we're going to be doing. I don't like using fuel cells, so I don't really dig that. I appreciate the large holding tank, but don't need it. Don't need it. This would be cool. Boy, is it expensive. Not needed. Already have it, technically. Sort of, kind of. Can't use it yet. So yeah, no, it's really going to just go to space planes. So let's start finally working on those. Bunch of control surfaces. Air brakes might be the one that comes in use first for me. And then we'll start going from there. Should now have, yep, a larger engine at least. Oh, jet engines. Okay, that is the fancy intake. Does this have... Okay, this has a radial air intake. Finally get a more capable jet here. Maybe just do a teaser and design it, not launch it. Okay, let's see. Little air intake on the front. Jet engine in the back. Where is it? Where's our new jet engine? There we are. Beautiful. Center of mass, center of thrust, center of lift. Let's check this out. So we want a single ridiculous tail fin. Single ridiculous overkill tail fin, of course. Why not? Let's... Some delta wings back there. Also, because why not? Front's basically canards. Big landing gear we could use. I don't know why we'd need that. Oops. Seems like a very bad design, doesn't it? It is one of my designs, so it would explain why it looks like a bad design. Because that probably means it is a bad design. Like that, maybe. Okay, let's move these up. So, kind of twist those a little bit. Like peek my head around my microphone there to do that. Okay. And then move them down a little bit. So they're not clipping through the wing and looking silly. Okay. Alright. And then we can put another one at the tail. And that just looks dumb because it's going to give me an all wrong angle of attack. Okay. Could always put one of these guys on there and just keep it on there. I'll be able to retract it. I mean, it looks equally stupid. Like, it already looks stupid, so I mean, it's kind of like, eh. Did I say I wasn't going to fly it? I don't remember saying that. Just not going to put a Kerman in it yet. Yeah, we're not killing Tom Fred today. Alright. I'm going to see if it works. Probably not. It's probably a really bad idea. But I do want to test out the new jet engine. Oh, I forgot control surfaces in the wings. Oh well. We got control surfaces in the tail. That should be enough, right? Okay, that was interesting. Well, it definitely has lift. And it has control. Not bad considering it only has the tail fins for control surface. Actually has really good control. If you can get past it being really dodgy, it's really not so bad. Let's just kill the engines coming for a landing. Can we land a jet? Can we land a jet without it exploding for the first time on this channel? Can it finally happen? Probably not. I'm just gonna go ahead and say no. Bleed off some speed. Bleed off some speed. Bleed off some speed. Okay. On that tail wing, I didn't even put the front landing gears down. There they go. Now they're deployed. Just in time. That's what I expected. That is precisely what I expected to have happen. Well, that was a good finale. I do want to thank everyone for watching who watched tonight. And if you do want to see more, you can check out all our previous streams at youtube.com/dudeicalledyoubro down there at the bottom. And if you want to catch our next stream, I do stream. It's turning into every other night, but the goal is every night from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern